What's going on, summoners? Welcome back to another ProGuides video. I'm Kangas, and in this video, we're covering the newest Korean builds for patch 11.20. If you want to stay on top of the recent trends, or just want a new build to have some fun with, look no further, because we got you covered here. I'm going to show you popular builds for all 5 roles, so no matter what you play, you're going to find something fun here. So hit that sub button, and let's get into it. Let's begin things in the top lane, where LILLIA continues to gain popularity. A quick reminder, back on patch 11.14, LILLIA received a major balance adjustment, taking power away from her utility and instead transferring it over to her raw combat power. This not only made her easier to play, but it also began the trend of LILLIA top. Her popularity as a pick has blossomed over the past several patches, and she currently sees plenty of play as an AP top laner. Her healing and high damage make her excellent in combat, and against players without matchup experience, it's relatively easy to pick up surprise solo kills. Now, you'll usually run Ignite with Teleport because the extra kill pressure and healing reduction help you a lot. For runes, you run Conqueror, Presence of Mind, Coup de Grace, Bone Plating, Unflinching, Double Adaptive Force, and your choice of a defensive rune. Her items are Liandry's Anguish, Ionian Boots of Lucidity, Demonic Embrace, Zhonya's Hourglass, Cosmic Drive, and Force of Nature. But against teams without significant magic damage, you can replace Force of Nature with Dead Man's Plate. And we'll usually throw this kind of advice into these videos when we go over builds, but if this sort of item adaptation is difficult for you to understand, or you just need assistance with anything League related, make sure to check out our website, ProGuides.com. We got all kinds of resources like high elo coaches that will literally sit one-on-one with you and go over your gameplay, builds, all kinds of stuff that you can learn. We also got courses from pros, so go check it out if you're interested. Next on the list for top lane is Poppy. She is beginning to dominate, especially in Korean solo queue. While most players regard her as a decent or pretty good pick, she's currently valued as one of the best top laners in certain regions for her powerful laning, high utility, tankiness, and acceptable damage. And on top of that, when she's fed, her damage more than gets the job done, and she easily matches the damage output of bruisers. And what helps us even more is the build, which we'll run through now. For runes, you run Grasp of the Undying, Demolish, Bone Plating, Overgrowth, Biscuit Delivery, Time Warp Tonic, Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and a defensive rune. Her items are Divine Sunderer, Defensive Boots, Anathema's Chains, Titanic Hydra, Thornmail, and either Abyssal Mask or Dead Man's Plate, depending on the enemy's damage split. Grasp is oppressive on Poppy, because just in case you didn't know, she can activate it when throwing her passive buckler at an enemy. The empowered range attack deals ridiculous damage considering that it's both a poking tool as well as an extra shield when she picks it back up. And although Poppy has always had low cooldowns, it's been difficult in previous seasons for her to take advantage of Spellblade's effect as they were difficult to justify over tank stats. But Divine Sunderer is a bit different. She makes use of the health and ability haste just like another tank item, while the bonus AD doesn't hurt too much because she does have AD scaling on her offensive abilities. And unlike Trinity Force in previous seasons, there's no wasted income on stats like attack speed that she doesn't really need. Ultimately, Poppy ends up with plenty of damage alongside her oppressive tankiness with this build. One more time, we'll put up the builds on screen for all of you, so take a look, save them, write them down, whatever you need, but we're moving on to jungle next. Diana jungle remains relevant to this day in spite of several nerfs. However, some adaptations were necessary. The biggest one is that players are often running teleport now. Diana needs farm, that is just a simple fact. While every character relies on items, Diana hits major power spikes with every purchase, and hitting level 6 early also makes it so much easier for her to pick up takedowns. Running teleport allows the players to focus on optimal farming and reactively teleporting whenever a teammate needs assistance. For runes, you run Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Alacrity, Coup de Grace, Magical Footwear, Cosmic Insight, Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and Armor. Her items are Hextech Riot Belt, Ionian Boots of Lucidity, Nashor's Tooth, Zhonya's Hourglass, Rabadon's Deathcap, and Void Staff. Karthus jungle is up next, and he actually kinda plays similarly. This power farming late game monster wants to scale up as fast as possible. Also, running teleport isn't much of a sacrifice anyway, because even if he gets focused down after finishing the channel, he remains relevant throughout fights as a result of the passive. As the game progresses, Karthus only gets stronger with his ridiculous scaling. For runes, use Dark Harvest, Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter, Presence of Mind, Last Stand, Double Adaptive Force, and Armor. The big reason that you want to run Precision Secondary is for the Last Stand rune. This is easily one of the best ones that you can run in Karthus, since a lot of the time he's dealing damage while dead. Simply put, he deals a ridiculous amount of bonus damage with the aid of the rune. His items are Liandry's Anguish, Sork Shoes, Demonic Embrace, Zhonya's Hourglass, Rabadon's Deathcap, and Void Staff. Like before, check out the screen for a recap of the jungle builds, but with those covered, let's head to the mid lane. While Gragas's AP changes haven't really helped him much in the jungle, mid lane Gragas is gradually seeing more play. His high burst damage catches many opponents by surprise, and by the late game, he's guaranteed to one-shot squishies whenever his flash is available. For the runes, run Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Ultimate Hunter, Cosmic Insight, Biscuit Delivery, Double Adaptive Force, and then your choice of a defensive rune. Unlike Jungle Gragas, he needs extra combat power in the mid lane, so you're going to need to run Electrocute in order to have any chance of pressuring your opponent. If you're unable to deal enough damage, you'll get bullied out slowly and instead need to keep your opponents low enough that there's a reasonable threat of death if they overextend. So for your items, you'll build Luden's Tempest, Sork Shoes, Lichbane, Zoni's Hourglass, Void Staff, and Rabadon's Deathcap. But before moving forward, we got our question of the day. What is your favorite non-keystone rune? I like going a lot of cheese builds, so Ultimate Hunter is pretty much always on my list, but let me know yours in the comments below. So, gotta be honest with you, the fact stands that upon release, Vex is very powerful. Since she's a new pick, we're here to inform you about how high elo players are building her. The thing you gotta remember is that Vex brings a lot to the team. Wave clear, high damage, and plenty of aggressive utility. For her runes, you'll run Electrocute, Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter, Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, Double Adaptive Force, and your choice of a defensive rune. To complement her lockdown, players are building Everfrost to chain crowd control effects for easy teamfight victories. Following that, you want to build Ione Boots of Lucidity, Horizon Focus, Zoni's Hourglass, Rabadon's Deathcap, and Void Staff. Her big combo is to join teamfights by rushing in with her ultimate, and then after fearing everyone in the area, she can continue the lockdown with Everfrost. As long as the fight goes long enough, she also has access to Zoni's Hourglass to buy time for her fear and W cooldown to come back up. 2 rotations of her abilities significantly affects teamfights, and it's no surprise that Vex is one of the strongest mid laners in the game upon release. Next up, we actually have a fun top and mid lane combo to cover. This one's a classic, as Camille and Galio are an explosive duo that you cannot ignore if you're duoing top and mid. With her ridiculous engage range, Camille has no problem diving straight into the enemy backline and initiating a fight in chaotic fashion. She's able to play much more aggressively with the assistance of Galio, whose ultimate not only zones enemies off from trying to burst Camille down, but also guarantees to land with Camille's ult. This means that for any character, no matter how fed, they're going to have to put up with an impressive diving duo later in the game. So essentially, it doesn't matter how hard your bot lane feeds, you're going to kill that AD carry. With the pick making, initiation, and high damage output, this duo is easily able to turn the tides of a game at any given moment. For Camille's setup, use Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Alacrity, Last Stand, Shield Bash, Bone Plating, Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and your choice of a defensive rune. Her items are Trinity Force, Defensive Boots, Ravenous Hydra, Sterix Gauge, Death Stance, and Guardian Angel. Galio's runes are Aftershock, Shield Bash, Bone Plating, Unflinching, Cosmic Insight, Biscuit Delivery, Double Adaptive Force, and a defensive rune. His items are Everfrost, Defensive Boots, Zoni's Hourglass, Morellonomicon, or Rabadon's, Void Staff, and Demonic Embrace, or a Rabadon's Deathcap if you want Morellonomicon as your 4th item. So like before, one last time, we'll put those builds for you to check out, and then take a final look at the bot lane next. In case you missed it, Miss Fortune recently received a massive buff to her ultimate. She's risen as a powerful pick across all regions, but she's especially valued in Korean solo queue. Her impressive laning as well as top tier team fighting make her an excellent pick for disorganized play. For runes, run Arcane Comet, Mana Flow Band, Absolute Focus, Scorch, Taste of Blood, Ravenous Hunter, Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and a defensive rune. Start tier the Goddess on her, but from there build Eclipse, Ione Boots of Lucidity, Mana Mune, Cyrilda's Grudge, Yomu's Ghostblade, and Edge of Night. The lethality significantly increases her damage output, but the combination of Eclipse, Ghostblade, and Edge of Night also make Miss Fortune pretty difficult to catch. With these 3 items, she gains a spell shield as well as a ridiculous amount of move speed to help her kite and maneuver around the enemy team. And our support build for this patch is BRAUM. While some might consider this a sort of cheese build, it's got a place when you want to play aggressively. You're running Hail of Blades with this setup to make it easier to activate your passive. As a result, you'll end up with a significant amount of kill pressure in lane. So for runes, of course, Hail of Blades, but then Cheap Shot, Zombie Ward, Ultimate Hunter, Font of Life, Bone Plating, Ability Haste, Armor, and your choice of a defensive rune. His items are Locket of the Iron Solari, Defensive Boots, Zeke's Convergence, Anathema's Chains, and Redemption. So for the last time in this video, we'll put up a recap of the builds for you to take a look at. But with all the builds covered, that will conclude our Korean builds for patch 11.20. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and also make sure to check out the description if you're interested in joining our Discord community. That's it for today, so best of luck on the Rift, everybody. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next one.